Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Erica Schmerica's Reality Recaps. Today, we're going to be talking about 90 Day Fiancé before the 90 days, Season 5, Episode 4. Crazy episode, so much to unpack. Let's get started. First up this week were Ella and Johnny. So, a lot of weird things happen in Ella's front yard. Sometimes she fights a mannequin with a samurai sword looking for the crystal. And sometimes she has her whole entire Wiccan witch coven come over to put love spells. You just don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen in Ella's front yard. So Ella had her little witch coven over called the Sacred Journey. I love it already. And they came over, they held hands, they lit some candles and put down some tapestries that they got from like Spencer's Gifts to put a love spell on Johnny, and hoping the best for Ella, that Johnny will come over and he'll be the best ranch hand Idaho has ever seen. Meanwhile, back in China, Johnny is trying on a hazmat suit, probably scared about the virus, or maybe wants to be an extra Beastie Boy, not really sure. So he goes over to a special doctor, it's like a Chinese herbal doctor, and he decides that he's going to consult with this doctor about Ella's weight loss and maybe pick up a little like China flat tummy tea. So the doctor gives him all kind of herbs, maybe even the ingredients to a salad, and then sends him on his way, where he leaves to go meet up with a bunch of his guy friends. They all sat around the table with the lazy Susan, sharing some apps. Maybe it was China Applebee's, not really sure. And of course, his heaviest friend, named Wang, was the first one to weigh in, no pun intended, about Ella's weight. With, of course, Johnny is always saying what a beautiful face she has, but he's very concerned about her weight and her weight loss. So Johnny, of course, said that this is something he wants to work on with her, and he wants her to be healthy, but, he loves her anyway, and he definitely intends on marrying her because they have this natural sparkle together. Johnny seems very concerned about leaving Stony and then potentially having an issue getting back into China later on because of the pandemic. So he's starting to get kind of like doubts in his head that this trip is going to work out, and he's not really sure. Later in the episode, we saw Ella call him. It was bright and early in the morning in Idaho, but midnight over in China. And she's wearing this crazy, ridiculous blonde cosplay wig because she described it as his favorite anime character. She calls him and she thinks it's going to be like, Memphis's sexy time. However, Johnny kind of started talking about some of his reservations about the trip. So it kind of was like brought the whole party down a notch. And Ella is starting to get really nervous if she and Johnny are going to, live happily on the ranch after all. Next, there were Mike and Jimena. So it was the big event that they've both been waiting for. Mike was finally in Colombia, and the two were about to meet for the very first time. There was Jimena looking like a denim vision. She was wearing denim on denim with her biggest, tallest spike heels, of course, to make him feel even shorter than he already was. Them hugged, kissed, romantically embraced at the airport pickup line. And then they got into a cab to head back to go have lunch in her hometown. So the cab ride to the little restaurant was painfully awkward. The two really don't understand each other's language very much. And, they're just, te amo, hi, si, yo quiero Taco Bell, And unfortunately, the restaurant, unlike Elena's you-know-what, did not have Wi-Fi. So unfortunately, Mike was unable to use his translator app, and he had to just sit there stirring his drink awkwardly and smiling at Jimena, whispering, te amo. After all that, they headed back to her apartment, where her whole entire family was sitting there waiting to meet Mike, who was not expecting this. So he walked in, he's like, hola, hola, hola. They're all sitting there shoved together on the pink couch that he bought for her. So he tried to use the translator app that he borrowed from Jihoon. After, this whole nice family get together, the family comes over and brings dessert, which we all know Americans love. And they make some kind of like sweet corn cakes with peasant cheese. Peasant cheese from the Peasant Cheesecake Factory. Even though things with the peasant cheese had been a great time, Jimena said goodbye to her whole familia and then ushered Mike and her kids upstairs so they could play casa for a little while before, she had to put them to bed so that they could have a little alone time for the first time. Well, now we're back to Caleb and Elena. So Caleb and Elena woke up the night after, his big arrival, and Caleb is topless with his chest hair flowing in the breeze, bringing Elena some Turkish coffee in bed, and she's wearing this little top like falling off the shoulder, and it looked a little scandalous. However, Elena fully explained her disappointment that nothing scandalous actually took place. Caleb blamed it on the jet lag, and then he was tired, and then he was just adjusting to a few little things. But in the meantime, he said he was so happy to be there, and he decided to take this opportunity to present Alina with a few gifts that he brought her. So Caleb goes into his bag and he gets out this necklace. It was like a pendant made out of authentic Arizona tumbleweed that he gives to Alina, which of course she just says, "What is this trash?" And he put it around her neck, and she just was like, it seemed like she was like trying to be sarcastic and funny and uncomfortable. So he puts it around her neck, but he says, "But wait, there's more," in his voice. And he goes over back to the bag and pulls out a human backpack. A human backpack, because he explains that he loves the outdoors, he likes hiking, he's very active, realizes that he's not going to get to enjoy, like the Turkish hiking scene because Alina's in a wheelchair and that's going to be difficult. So, just being the thoughtful human that he was, he got her a backpack, much like the backpack that Big Ed uses with Teddy. And, he figured he can just strap the backpack on and he puts it on to demonstrate. He's also wearing LuLaRoe leggings. And he, says, "Yeah, I could just wear you and we'll go hiking. That way you can do things you don't normally do." And of course, everyone's sitting there like, how's she going to respond to that? And she was actually quite all right. She said it was nice. She could see how other people would be horribly offended by this. But Alina felt like it was a very nice, thoughtful gesture. Clearly, she wasn't thinking about any wedgie potential, because that's all I thought about. Was she wasn't the only one he had to impress. They went downstairs to go sightseeing for the day with Elijah, who was already sitting in his chair, sipping his tea with a look on his face like the devil wears Prada. And he, grilled Caleb, gave him such a hard time, went over the whole, like, how come you didn't put a move on this beautiful queen the first night you were here? And Alina kind of joined in too. The two of them were like kind of ganging up on Caleb. And Caleb, he tried to butter Elijah up. He said, "You look stunning, Elijah." And it was just the most awkward exchange. It seemed so set up and painfully weird. But, Elijah's got an eye on him. He's kind of like giving him stank eye the whole time as he fully explains how to properly take care of the queen herself in her wheelchair. So they went to a mosque, they went sightseeing, they had a great time, and then they went for dinner, where things got even more tense at the dinner table. Apparently, Caleb didn't pour Alina's water before his own, and he didn't, stop to do a cheers when he got his drink. And the two of them just kind of mocked him, blaming his bad manners on being an American. Then Caleb turned the conversation around to Alina, asking her about her previous relationships. And she was in the hot seat, and all of a sudden, Alina had to explain that, she had a boyfriend recently and they broke up and they had a bad breakup. But what she didn't tell Caleb was that they were actually living together until very, very recently. I think this is going to come up again later, maybe next week. But anyway, they kind of dismissed Elijah, sending him on his merry way to go judge somebody else so the two of them could be alone. So carried her up the stairs back to their hotel room, where they shared their first kiss. And the first kiss kind of led to the first flinging Alina on the bed. And things got a little awkward. It was a little awkward to watch. But the best of luck to them. Then there were Brittany and Yazin. Just kidding. It was Memphis and Hamza. Hamza. And the two of them are giddy, having just met at the Tunisian airport. Now they had to hitch a ride from Hamza's friend all the 2 hours back to Hamza's hometown, where they were going to stay for some bizarre reason in Hamza's mother's house. I don't know why they didn't just go to the Red Roof in Tunisia, but this is what they planned on doing. So as they were, they had all this time, the 2-hour ride back, to get to know each other better and sit and chit chat and talk about sexy time. He worries that maybe he doesn't like her for real, in person, that he's a little disappointed, but he says, "Yes, sexy, big boobies, I like. They get to the apartment and it's like a 75-story walk up. They're both completely winded when they get to the top, and they're greeted by Sister Hamza and Mother Hamza, who are so excited to meet Memphis, and everything seems to be going really, really well. Except that night, they go into the bedroom and, Hamza explains to Memphis that they can't stay together, and she's super disappointed and tells him that it's going to be a big problem if they don't have sexy time before marriage, which is week 2. And he assures her, oh, no, everything is fine. He's going to sleep on the couch, and then after his mom goes to bed, he's going to sneak in and, sexy time will commence. Well, great plan, Hamza, except he didn't set an alarm and didn't seem to exit in time, and his mother was knocking on the door the next morning, and Memphis opened the door in her pajamas with Hamza still laying there in bed. Of course, this is some major haram going on here. The mother ran away into the kitchen where she's pacing back and forth, unsure of what to do, probably wondering why they didn't just get a hotel room. Back in Tanzania, Kimberly is soaking her legs in the sexy soaking bathtub in the honeymoon suite in the hotel because she forgot her Soulja Boy printed compression socks on the flight over, and she is quite swollen. Then we saw Soulja Boy meeting with Slam T and Slanty and Bad Moose, and they met at the site of where the music video was going to take place, and they're asking him, of course, how the evening went on his first night with Kimberly. So he explained that, nothing happened. It was very platonic, except if you're talking about the PS5, they totally got it on. However, he and Kimberly are just still potentials at this point, but he really likes her and is excited that she is there. Kimberly was a little disappointed because she was told by Usman's team that this, well-known performer in West Africa is going to be joining them. This very pretty girl named Rosaree, love a punny name. She's going to be joining them because is going to be, good for Soulja Boy's image, and that the two of them should be seen together and that they should get to know each other better. This is going to be a great time, and they're going to meet up for a business dinner. So Kimberly, of course, gets like a stank face, and she's all pissed off. She feels like a third wheel. She tells him to just go without her, but he insists on bringing her with him. So the two of them head off to meet up with Rosaree, and they're sitting at this really nice restaurant. Kimberly's feeling super uncomfortable, kind of like looking around awkwardly, starts fighting a little bit with Usman, starts getting, all up in her feelings. And Usman's like, why you gotta be like that? Just stop. And then he's just scrolling on his phone, ignoring her altogether. And then Rosaree shows up. It was being a little flirtatious, but Rosaree turns it right around to Kimberly, and she, says like, why is Kimberly here? Just to look pretty? And then she makes her smile, and the three of them have a lovely dinner where, Rosaree even brought up the fact that, oh, what's your relationship? You're just potentials? Maybe you should make her a potential wifey. She's just blushing, and Usman's blushing, but probably like, oh God, why would you say that? And in the meantime, Kimberly is having the time of her life, and she owes it all to you. BGL. Gino and Jasmine woke up after their first night together as a couple, and Gino, was a little bit nervous not having those little blue pills, but hallelujah, he rose to the occasion, even getting rave reviews from Jasmine herself. I can't even imagine the amount of giggles coming out of that room, and I really hope that the walls were well insulated. So even though they spent their first intimate evening together, apparently Jasmine still didn't get to see what was under Gino's hat. He agreed to take the hat off during sexy time, but only in the cover of darkness. So still a mystery what's going on. Is he a cone head? Is it a prison tattoo? I'm so curious. Is Elena under there? What is going on? That day they decided to go sightseeing, and they're walking around Panama. Jasmine's showing off her beautiful city to Gino up in a souvenir shop to get a little memento from the trip. And Jasmine explains that she would really like Gino to jazz up his bachelor pad with a few little Panama tchotchkes. And then she had to, take a nice thing and turn it bad by saying she wants him to get rid of all of his stupid Brazil tchotchkes from his Brazilian stupid ex-wife. So Gino's like, oh, he's like already starting to get really nervous. Like, here comes the crazy Panamaniac coming out. And he starts, saying like, why would you call her stupid? She's just my ex-wife. She's not stupid. And Jasmine, is like, well, we don't have a past. It's just you and me forever together. No one, red flags are waving in the wind all over. And the only other notable thing that happened with the two of them was that Gino did get a really cool Panama Jack type hat. I'm sure he changed it, in a locked room with no window somewhere so no one could see. And the mystery of what's under Gino's hat continues. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Erica Schmerica's Reality Recaps. If you haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get notified about all new videos I'll be posting. See you next week. Bye.